On 16 December 1944, snow blanketed the Ardennes forest, swallowing certainty in its cold embrace. General Dwight Eisenhower sat awake at SHAEF headquarters, reading fragmented reports, weighing fates alone. Across Belgium, frozen infantrymen whispered prayers, clutching rifles, believing the front might collapse at any moment. The German counteroffensive surged westward that night, armored columns breaking through fog, radios failing everywhere. Suddenly, in foxholes near Bastogne, Private First Class Martin watched flares fade, counting minutes, fearing dawn. Supply lines had snapped under ice in panic. Commanders lost maps, and rumors spread faster than orders. Eisenhower knew coalition morale trembled. Weather grounded the Air Force, and reserves were dangerously thin. Maps glowed under red lamps, each decision carrying continents on its shoulders. History's balance feeling reversible, briefly. This was the night Americans feared defeat, not in headlines, but in every breath, alone and silent. By dawn, nothing was decided. Courage held the lines, and history waited outside the snow-laden trees. Snow-muffled artillery flashes. Medics dragged wounded backward, prayers freezing midair softly. Intelligence gaps widened dangerously. Commanders guessed enemy strength, and time seemed to slip away. At Bastogne crossroads, burned vehicles and drifts swallowed the roads, and hope thinned visibly. Eisenhower chose resolve over retreat, holding his nerve, trusting his men deliberately. The world slept unaware, while soldiers counted heartbeats, waiting for the light, together. On 17 December 1944, dawn arrived gray and cruel, revealing chaos across the Ardennes. German panzers pressed forward through villages, engines roaring, infantry following, confident again. At Bastogne, Brigadier General Anthony McAuliffe woke to find his unit encircled, roads cut, radios unreliable, and the cold biting through everything. American paratroopers of the 101st Airborne dug in, sharing ammunition, sharing fear, sharing silence. Snow hid enemy movement. Smoke blurred the distance, and every sound suggested armor was closing in. Eisenhower convened his commanders. Faces tight, decisions urgent, alliances tested. Patton turned his Third Army northward, an audacious pivot, engines already warming, hopes pinned on speed. Fuel shortages slowed the columns. Frozen ground cracked treads, but men marched anyway, stubborn. In foxholes, soldiers realized the war was far from over. Survival mattered more than glory right now. German artillery hammered relentlessly. Trees splintered, earth shook, and every explosion disoriented time. Medics worked by touch, fingers numb, blood dark on snow, quietly. Messages reached Bastogne, promising relief. Hope flickered, then steadied, quietly inside the defenses. McAuliffe rejected surrender demands, his defiance spreading by word, morale stiffening, fast. Yet night returned early, temperatures plunged further. Ammunition dwindled, and fear returned stronger. Across the front, Americans understood that this was a hinge moment. Endurance was deciding. History tonight. On 18 December 1944, the cold became an enemy as lethal as steel. Temperatures dropped below zero. Rifles jammed, skin cracked, breath crystallized painfully. Inside Bastogne, foxholes hardened into ice coffins. Men stamped their feet, listening, waiting. German loudspeakers echoed surrender offers, promises of warmth, safety, survival, lies dressed as mercy. American soldiers laughed weakly, hunger gnawing, hands shaking. Yet resolve remained unbroken, barely. Artillery fire intensified after dusk. Shells screamed through treetops, raining splinters, terror. Each explosion stretched minutes into eternity, nights feeling endless. Eisenhower monitored the front obsessively, weighing risks, shifting units, trusting Patton's gamble. Weather reports offered a thin hope. Skies might clear, and air power could return soon. Until then, Bastogne stood isolated, wounded men untreated, supplies almost gone. Medics rationed morphine, whispered reassurances, hiding despair quietly. A young lieutenant wrote letters by candlelight, unsure they would ever reach home. German infantry probed defenses cautiously, testing resolve, suffering losses, retreating again. Every failed assault strengthened American belief. Holding this town mattered deeply. The forest groaned under artillery, trees snapping, echoes rolling like distant thunder. Some soldiers admitted fear openly, others prayed silently. All stayed together. This night forged something irreversible, a shared understanding that retreat was no longer possible. If Bastogne fell, the road opened west. The war darkened immeasurably. Snow kept falling, indifferent, as men prepared for another night, alive. On 19 December 1944, desperation sharpened every decision everywhere. German armor regrouped around Bastogne. Commanders impatient, pressure mounting, orders harsh. American positions tightened inward. Lines shorter, defenses layered. Exhaustion constant. Inside the town, food dwindled to crumbs. Men shared rations, jokes thinning, spirits stretched. Wounded filled cellars and basements. Moans echoed as medics struggled, lights flickering. Eisenhower authorized risk after risk, pulling reserves from quiet sectors, gambling boldly. Patton's columns pushed north through snowstorms. Engines coughed, maps unreliable, urgency rising. Roads were clogged with refugees. Abandoned vehicles, frozen horses, war's debris everywhere. In Bastogne, chaplains moved from trench to trench, offering words, blessings, presence, and calm. German shelling targeted crossroads relentlessly, aiming to shatter coordination and isolate defenders further. Ammunition was counted round by round. Artillery was rationed, every shot deliberate, precious. Officers rotated men between positions to prevent collapse. Watching faces closely, morale wavered when aircraft failed to appear, skies sealed and unforgiving. Yet defiance held. Stories spread of Patton's advance, hope anchored stubbornly. Nightfall brought renewed attacks. Flares turned snowfields white, shadows lunging, sudden. Each assault was repelled at a cost. Bodies left frozen, testimony to resolve. By midnight, Bastogne still stood, battered but unbroken. Time bleeding away. This was no longer just a battle. It was a test of endurance, human and unyielding. The war's winter heart beat here, in darkness, cold, and faith. On 20 December 1944, a message arrived under a white flag, carried through snow. German officers demanded surrender again, confident that resistance was pointless. Inside Bastogne, Brigadier General McAuliffe listened briefly, irritation masking fatigue and resolve. His reply was short, almost casual, yet historic, delivered with calm. Nuts. Word spread fast among the defenders. Laughter broke the tension, pride replacing dread. Eisenhower received confirmation hours later. Understanding the symbolism, morale mattered tonight. The weather remained brutal. Clouds grounded aircraft, relief delayed, agonizingly. Patton's spearheads advanced mile by mile, skirmishing constantly, burning fuel rapidly. German units tightened the ring, launching coordinated assaults. Probing weak seams persistently. American artillery responded selectively, conserving shells. Each shot was deliberate, precious. In cellars, wounded listened to distant fighting, counting impacts, wondering outcomes silently. Cold-induced injuries rose sharply. Frostbite stole fingers, toes, futures unseen. Yet confidence hardened. Surrender was unthinkable now, identity forged in refusal. German commanders underestimated this resolve, expecting collapse, misreading human limits. Night fell with renewed shelling. The town shook, rubble shifted, darkness complete. Some soldiers slept sitting up, others never closed their eyes, guarding perimeters, tense. The stand at Bastogne became legend in progress, though few realized it then. What mattered was survival until help arrived, nothing else. Snow reflected firelight, and the night pressed on, unresolved. On 21 December 1944, the skies finally began to betray the storm. Clouds thinned cautiously, light filtering through, watched by thousands, hopeful and desperate. Inside Bastogne, soldiers scanned upward between shell bursts, waiting for engines, any sign. Eisenhower received updated forecasts, sensing momentum shift, pressure easing slightly. Patton's lead elements fought through roadblocks, German resistance stiff, casualties mounting still. Fuel trucks slid off icy roads, crews pushing by hand. refusing delay, stubbornly. By midday, distant aircraft hums grew clearer. Morale surged, hands waved skyward instinctively. C-47 transports pierced the clouds, bellies opening. Parachutes blossoming white, salvation falling. Supplies drifted down under fire. Some were lost, most recovered, cheers echoing briefly. Ammunition, food, and medical kits transformed endurance into confidence. Balance restored slowly. Wounded men cried openly as morphine arrived. Pain eased, hope renewed, humanly. German gunners targeted drop zones. Shells bursting among parachutes, risk accepted anyway. Artillery roared in reply, newly resupplied. American guns found voice again, fierce. Night brought bitter cold once more, but spirits held firmer and stronger than before. Patton's advance closed the distance. Maps marked miles shrinking, relief approaching inevitably. German commanders sensed opportunity fading. Orders grew frantic, cohesion weakening visibly. In Bastogne, men dared to believe relief was imminent, though silence remained. The night felt different, charged with expectation. Fear mingled with anticipation. Somewhere beyond the forest, steel moved closer, unseen. On 22 December 1944, the sound of battle shifted, closer, heavier, sharper. German attacks intensified at dawn, determined to crush Bastogne before relief arrived. Infantry surged through tree lines. Armor followed cautiously, smoke rolling low, deliberate. American paratroopers met them head-on. Rifles cracked, artillery pounding, nerves steeled. Fresh ammunition changed everything. Confidence translated into controlled violence, effective. Eisenhower tracked Patton's progress hourly. Knowing timing decided survival, nothing else. South of Bastogne, Third Army units smashed through roadblocks. Firefights were constant, momentum building. Tanks advanced in single file. Bridges weak, ice cracking, danger everywhere. In Bastogne's perimeter, officers adjusted defenses outward, testing space, probing enemy resolve. German assaults faltered under concentrated fire. Losses mounted, surprise gone, morale thinning. Prisoners spoke of exhaustion, confusion, promises broken. Winter was unforgiving, cruel. Snow turned red in open fields, evidence of the cost, unavoidable. Nightfall brought uneasy quiet, broken by sporadic shelling. Nerves stretched thin again. Soldiers listened for engines from the south, hope tied to sound, desperately. Patton's lead tank crews pushed without rest. Commanders urged speed, history calling. Every mile gained tightened German anxiety. Time narrowed, options shrinking. In Bastogne, men dared to believe relief was coming, though silence remained. The night felt different, charged with expectation, fear mixed with anticipation. Somewhere beyond the forest, steel moved closer, unseen. On 23 December 1944, the morning sky opened fully, blue and unforgiving. Sunlight revealed devastation around Bastogne, shattered trees, frozen bodies, smoke hanging low. American aircraft returned in force, fighters diving. Bombers striking German positions relentlessly. For defenders, air superiority felt miraculous. Enemy movements exposed, pressure easing finally. German columns scrambled for cover. Losses mounted, momentum drained, confidence slipping. Eisenhower sensed the tide turning. Cautious optimism replaced dread, calculations shifting. Patton's forward units fought through determined resistance. Towns changed hands, casualties rising. Each crossroads mattered now. Maps redrawn hourly, urgency absolute, time precious. Inside Bastogne, soldiers repaired weapons, redistributed supplies, prepared to push outward soon. Artillery thundered with renewed authority. Shells landed accurately, coordination restored. German commanders argued fiercely. Orders conflicted, winter punishing indecision brutally. Snow melted slightly under sun. Mud formed traps, slowing armor, complicating retreat. Night attacks resumed half-heartedly, lacking coordination. Morale clearly broken. American defenders sensed it immediately, firing measured, conserving strength, confident. By evening, distant explosions from the south sounded closer, unmistakable, thrilling. Men climbed rooftops and ridgelines, scanning horizons, searching headlights, signs. Hope spread cautiously, tempered by memory of loss. restraint learned. The night carried echoes of engines and guns, converging paths, inevitable. Bastogne waited, no longer alone, just surrounded by history closing in. On 24 December 1944, Christmas Eve arrived with urgency, not peace. Before dawn, distant gunfire grew continuous, unmistakably American, rolling northward, closer. Inside Bastogne, soldiers froze mid-conversation, listening. Hope sharpened into belief, real. Patton's lead armor smashed through last German roadblocks. Resistance desperate, collapsing fast. Tanks burned in narrow lanes. Infantry cleared houses, grenades echoing, momentum unstoppable. German units attempted withdrawal under fire. Columns shattered, cohesion lost, orders ignored. Eisenhower received confirmation midday. Relief was hours away. Patience required still. In Bastogne, commanders prepared for breakout coordination. Maps unfolded, routes marked, tense. Artillery fired smoke and suppression, shaping corridors, guiding friendly forces carefully. By afternoon, the thunder of engines broke through the forest edge, unmistakable, metallic. Men cheered openly. Some cried, discipline momentarily forgotten, humanity exposed. At a shattered road junction, American tanks met paratroopers. Hands clasped, words failing. The siege was broken, not ended. Fighting still raged, danger remained real. German artillery struck departing units. Unwilling to concede, bitterness driving shells. Yet momentum belonged to the Allies now. Initiative reclaimed, fear receding. That night, Christmas lights appeared briefly in cellars. Candles lit cautiously, quietly. Soldiers shared rations, stories, silence, honoring those missing, present. The war was not won, but this night no longer felt lost. Beyond Bastogne, the front stabilized, and history pivoted again. On 25 December 1944, dawn broke over Bastogne, cold but resolute. Lights spilling across shattered streets. The siege had ended, yet silence carried the weight of what had been lost, deeply, painfully. Soldiers emerged from foxholes. Mud and snow clung, faces etched with exhaustion, disbelief. Patton's armor rumbled in triumph, linking with paratroopers, creating a fragile but vital corridor, alive. Eisenhower observed from headquarters. Relief tempered by awareness. Battles still raged elsewhere, globally. Wounded were evacuated. Supplies flowed steadily, morale surged, hope renewed cautiously. Streets bore the scars of artillery, burned vehicles, and frozen bodies. Testimony to endurance, human cost. Letters were written hurriedly. Prayers whispered, memories recorded. Small acts of survival, intimate. German forces retreated under pressure. Winter's cruelty still biting, morale fractured, command failing. In town squares, soldiers exchanged stories. Laughter hesitant, grief mingling with triumph quietly. This Christmas was unlike any other, marked not by celebration but by survival, defiance, resilience. Medics counted and treated. Chaplains consoled. Officers planned next moves. Life continuing relentlessly. Bastogne had held, a symbol of American courage, resolve, and unity against overwhelming odds. Undeniably. Yet beyond this victory, the Battle of the Bulge continued. Winter claiming ground, men, and time mercilessly. The night had passed. Fear receded, but memory remained. Echoing in each man's heartbeat, enduring. History would remember Bastogne not only as a battle, but as a crucible of human will, courage, and determination. On this Christmas morning, amidst ruin and snow, the war pressed on, but hope had returned, subtly. Every soldier knew the cost, and the world would never forget the night America refused to yield.